Nothing is more frustrating than spending all of your time and resources to grow epic pepper plants, only to have to settle for tiny pepper harvests in the end. No doubt these plants are one of summer's all-time heavy hitters, but not getting to participate in the harvest that you hope for is more common than you think. So today, I got 6 things that we can do for our big type pepper plants to ensure that we indeed get to participate. 6 growing tips that we can't ignore if we want the biggest peppers possible. No offense to the little hot guys, but they're a much simpler, much easier crop to have success with. Habaneros, jalapenos, cayennes, serranos. Some of the most prolific crops, let alone peppers, you'll ever grow. Big pepper varieties are a different beast altogether. And while all the types grow pretty much the same, getting big pepper harvests takes a little more consideration. Bells, poblanos, carmens. Thick-walled beauties that require a little more attention to get those harvests we want. And the first thing affecting that pepper size is room to grow and soil volume. Big peppers need big spacing, at least 2 feet away from the nearest companion. And if you're growing your peppers in containers, one way to guarantee a subpar harvest is to use pots that are too small. The rule of thumb for most large pepper varieties is 1 plant per pot that's at least 5 gallons in size, preferably 7 to 10 gallons. If you want those large pepper harvests every year, the last thing you want is your plants to be competing for water and nutrients. Speaking of, the second factor governing your big pepper success is that water. Constant, consistent moisture is critical with these guys, and peppers, especially the big ones, use up a lot of water to make that fruit. The easiest way of ensuring that your peppers have even adequate moisture is through diligent mulching coupled with a high organic content soil. Mulching is going to mitigate and even sometimes eliminate evaporation, while the organic content in your soil is solely responsible for moisture retention. Solve these 2 things and you'll correct 99% of all pepper water problems. And just like with that watering, the right amount of the right kind of food at the right time is going to make all the difference with your peppers. Pepper plants are hungry plants, always, but they don't always want or need the same kind of food. To start their life, peppers are nitrogen hogs. Forming those tissues to build all the branches, stems, and leaves takes a lot of that number 1 macronutrient. Right from their second set of true leaves, supplement your young pepper plants with a nitrogen-rich solution bi-monthly. As they grow, your peppers are going to begin to flower in the early summer. This is our clue that we need to switch it up. We need to switch our peppers to more reproductive growth away from that vegetative-only focus. We do this by increasing the phosphorus and potassium ratio at the expense of that nitrogen. Phosphorus, potassium, micronutrients, and trace elements all become much more important once your peppers start to flower. Making this switch at the right time is the key to getting those really big pepper harvests. This next one, it goes without saying, but we'll say it anyways. Peppers need sun. They are indeed a full sun crop, meaning they require 6+ hours a day of full direct sunlight. Shaded plants and those peppers that are grown too close together will never produce to their maximum potential. With fruit of this size, we need our pepper plants to be in full sun to utilize all of that light to grow as big as possible. This one has no exceptions. Like we mentioned before with the fertilizing, peppers lead this sort of dual life. Extreme growth and a foliar explosion early on, followed by a flowering and fruiting cycle to produce those peppers. The bigger the plants grow in the first part of the life cycle usually leads to more flowers and more peppers. One way to keep the plant growing and enhance its future abilities, though, is to actually pinch off some of those first flowers. Pepper plants entering a blooming cycle will put the bulk of their energy into those flowers and eventually the fruit, all at the expense of growing larger. But it's only the truly large plants, unlike this one, that are going to give you those mega harvests. Removing those early blooms is going to allow the plants to increase in size sufficiently to support the future fruit that you seek. Do note that there is one caveat, however. If you've got a shorter growing window and you can't support multiple blooming cycles for your peppers, well, this strategy might not work for you. Alternatively, what you can do though is to pinch off those late flowers and small fruit that simply aren't going to have enough time to mature. Redirect all that energy to their bigger brothers and sisters that have a better chance at those mega harvests. If frost is coming because summer is finite, there just isn't enough time for all of those peppers to flourish. Leave the smaller ones behind and let the plant focus on those big ones to maximize your bounty. If you're consistently producing what you consider to be medium-sized peppers, leaving too much of the fruit on the plant too late in the season could be the problem. And finally, our sixth tip to growing and producing the biggest peppers possible is time. As in, we have to give our pepper plants enough time to grow. This one is more geared to temperate growers, those with a limited summer. We need to give our pepper plants enough warm days to grow, produce, and work their magic if we want to see any of those biggie size harvests. Starting them off early indoors, usually in the late winter, is the main way to accomplish this. Not only will your young pepper plants get established much faster in the ideal conditions, they'll also be creating a massive head start inside when the weather outside is not conducive to grow this tropical plant. Look at it this way. If a pepper plant needs 90 warm days to properly grow and reproduce, but your spring-summer only has 60, well, those other 30 days have to come from somewhere. Get them growing early indoors so that you can transplant them as big mature plants out in your garden with time on your side. Speaking of time, that was a lot of information in a short span of it. To make the most of what we got left, let's recap those main points to make sure that we don't miss a thing. Peppers come in a dazzling array of colors and flavors, something for everyone. The large ones, however, do seem to take a bit more attention to really coax out those harvests. And hopefully with the 6 tips that we covered here today, you'll get those big harvests every summer. Hey, as always guys, happy growing, and I'll see you soon.